So the next one is immunity. What is immunity? Immunity means it is defined as an overall ability of the host to fight the disease causing organisms confirmed by the immune system is called as immunity. So immunity is defined as the overall capacity of the host to fight against the pathogen like viruses, bacteria, protozoan. So this ability of the host to fight against those pathogen, and this entire process is done by the immune system. So this entire process of fighting against these bacteria, viruses and protozoa is done by the immune system. So this is called as immunity. Immunity are of two types. The first one is innate immunity and the second one is acquired immunity. So first let's understand what is innate immunity. Innate immunity means it is a non-specific type of defense that is present at the time of birth. So when an individual is born, this immunity is present at the time of the birth. It is inherited from the parents. So what do you mean by non-specific type of defense? Non-specific type of defense means to say this defense mechanism is not specific to particular pathogen. It is generally, it provides immunity against any sort of pathogen. It is not pathogen specific. Okay, so this is called as innate immunity, and innate immunity, it provides the barrier to the entry of the foreign agents into our body. So how does the innate immunity protects us? It acts as a barrier like a wall which prevents the entry of the microorganism inside our body. So now what are those barriers which is protecting our body from this microorganism? The first barrier is the physical barrier. Physical barrier, the example is the skin. And the next one is the mucus coating of the respiratory, gastrointestinal and urinogenital tract. So obviously the skin which is present on the surface of our body, it will prevent the direct entry of any microorganism entering inside our body. Apart from that, inside our body, we have the mucus coating which is present in an outer epithelial tissue. So this mucus coating is also very important. It is a barrier which is providing or protecting our body from the entry of these microorganisms. So where do you find this mucus coating? We find this mucus coating in the respiratory tract, you find it in the gastrointestinal system and the urinogenital tract. So any foreign body or microorganisms which is entering inside our gastrointestinal tract, all this microorganism will be trapped by this mucus coating which is present in an outer epidermal layer. And the second one is the physiological barrier. Physiological barrier means the skin and the mucous membrane, it secretes a chemical. So what are those chemicals which is secreted? The first one is an acid in the stomach. That is the gastric hydrochloric acid which is present in our stomach. Saliva which is present in the mouth and the tears which is coming from the eye. So all these are the chemicals which is present inside our body, and all these chemicals protect us from the microorganisms. The third one is the cellular barriers. Cellular barriers means certain type of WBC and the macrophages are phagocytic in nature. So cellular barrier means there are certain cells which are specific, which are phagocytic in nature, which kills those microorganisms and protect our body. So what are those cells? Those cells are WBC cells. WBC cells such as neutrophils. What is the other name for neutrophil? Polymorphonuclear leukocyte, PMNL. Polymorphonuclear leukocyte is another name for neutrophil. Neutrophil, monocytes, natural killer cells. All these three are the WBC cell. Along with this WBC cell, even the macrophages. These two kinds of cells, these are phagocytic in nature and which are phagocytic in nature, and they protect our body from microorganisms. So the next one is the cytokine barrier. Cytokine barrier means the virus infected cells, they secrete a certain type of protein which is called as interferon, and this chemical, the interferon, it goes and protects the cells which are not infected by the pathogen. So here interferon means it is a sort of cell to cell communication where the chemicals which are released by an virus infected cells, it goes and protects the cells which are not infected by the pathogen. Now the second type of immunity is the acquired immunity. Acquired immunity means to say the immunity which an individual is acquiring after birth. So that is called as acquired immunity. Acquired immunity is pathogen specific. So pathogen specific means here the immunity is developed in an individual body depending upon the specific types of antigen. So the pathogen specific immunity is developed during the lifetime. It is characterized by the memory. So what do you mean by that? So let us understand that. So when our body first encounters the pathogen, what happens? When our body first encounters the pathogen, at that time our body produces the primary response. So what is primary response? Primary response is a response which a body responds when we encounter the pathogen for the very first time. So at that point of time, the antibodies are produced in our body, and this antibody takes a lot of time to be produced. So what happens to our body when it encounters the same pathogen for the second time? In the second time, that is called as a secondary response. That secondary response is little bit fast when compared to the primary response, because in the secondary response, since the antibodies are already produced for that particular antigen, the production of the antibody will be little bit faster. Our body, it starts to respond very fastly when compared to that of a primary response. Therefore, the secondary encounter of the same pathogen, it causes the secondary or an amnestic response in a high intensity. So the second encounter of the pathogen in our body is extremely fast. Our body works very fastly. Okay, so the secondary response is also called as an amnestic response. So the primary and the secondary immune responses are carried out by B lymphocytes. So what is B lymphocyte? Lymphocytes means it is a WBC. Lymphocytes are the WBC which are produced in the bone marrow. So one among them is the B lymphocyte. So the primary and the secondary immune responses are carried out by B lymphocyte and T lymphocytes. B lymphocyte is also called as B cell. T lymphocytes are also called as T cells. So the memory cells are produced by the B lymphocytes. Now what are memory cells? Memory cells are those cells which remembers the antigen which it has previously encountered in the body. So the first time in the primary response, when the antibodies are produced, these antibodies are called as memory cells which remembers the pathogen which has already attacked the body once. Okay, so B cell or the B lymphocyte, they produce the antibody, but the antibodies are not produced by the T lymphocytes. T lymphocytes do not produce the antibody. So what does the T lymphocyte do? T lymphocyte, they help the B cell to produce the antibodies. So it is only the B lymphocytes or the B cells which produces the antibodies, and T cells, it only helps the B cell to produce the antibody. Now let us learn the diagram of an antibody. So the antibody is also called as immunoglobulin. The other name for the antibody is immunoglobulin. Immunoglobulin is a Y-shaped structure. So as you can see here, it is a Y-shaped structure, and this antibody is made up of two chains, light chain and heavy chain. So what you are seeing, this Y-shaped structure over here, this is a heavy chain. So this is called as heavy chain. So this is the heavy chain. From here till here it is a heavy chain. Whereas this short one, this is called as light chain. and this short chain and light chain, it has got a disulfide bridge or a disulfide bond. So what you're seeing here is a disulfide bond. So all these are the disulfide bond what you're seeing here. And at the tip of this light chain and the heavy chain is a region called antigen binding site. So this tip and this tip on either side, you can see here. So this is the region which captures the antigen. So this is called as antigen binding site. So all in all, the immunoglobulin is made up of 4 polypeptide chain. So in that 2 chains are the 2 small light chain and other 2 is the 2 large heavy chain. Therefore we can even put it as H2 and L2. H2 means 2 heavy chain, L2 means 2 light chain. Types of acquired immune response. So there are 2 types of acquired immune response. The first one is humoral immune response and second one is cell mediated response. So first let's study the humoral immune response. What is humoral immune response? It is an immune response which is mediated by the antibodies. So here the immunity in the body is responding by producing the antibodies. So where are the antibodies found? The antibodies are found in the blood plasma. Therefore it is called as humoral immune response. The second one is the cell mediated response. We can even say it as CMI. So what is cell mediated response? Cell mediated response means it is an immune response which is mediated by the T lymphocytes. T lymphocytes is also called as T cells. Whereas in case of humoral immune response, here the response was with the help of B cells or the B lymphocytes which produces the antibodies. So what is the CMI cause? CMI or the cell mediated immunity, it causes the graft rejection or the transplant rejection. So whenever there is a lung transplant or a liver transplant inside of a body, so it is the CMI which causes the transplantation rejection. The body here is able to differentiate the self and non-self cells. The body is able to differentiate the self and the non-self cells because of the T cells which is present in our body, and therefore tissue matching and blood group matching is very essential before undertaking the graft or the tissue transplantation. That is the reason why immunosuppressants are given to the body so that they do not reject the organ transplantation. So the next one is an active and passive immunity. So what is active and passive immunity? The first one is the active immunity. So what is active immunity? When the host is exposed to the antigen which may be in the form of living or dead microbes or other proteins, then the antibodies are produced in the host body. So active immunity means to say here the body is encountering the antigen. The antigen which is going inside of our body, it can be live or it can be dead or it can be just a protein part of that particular microorganisms. So when this antigen enter in this 3 different form, then the body is producing the antibody. Therefore, this is called as active immunity, and active immunity is very slow. It is because our body is taking time to produce the antibody which antigen it has encountered. Therefore, the body response will be very slow for the very first time it encounters the pathogen. The second one is the passive immunity. Passive immunity means here we are not allowing the body to produce the antibodies. Here the ready-made antibody is given directly to the body. So therefore this is very fast when compared to that of active immunity. So what are the examples? First example is the yellowish fluid called as colostrum has an antibody IgA which is secreted by the mother during the initial days of lactation. So when the mother has given birth to the child, so the very first time when the mother feeds the child, that is the first time when she feeds, the milk will be yellowish in color, which contains colostrum, and this colostrum has abundant antibody. It has got IgA antibody. So this IgA antibody is the ready-made antibody which is directly going inside the body of the baby. And the second example is when the fetus receives the antibody from the mother through the placenta during the pregnancy. So during the pregnancy time, the fetus is receiving the antibody. And which antibody is that? It is the antibody IgG. So this IgG antibody, it can cross the placenta, and from the body of the mother, this IgG travels and it goes inside the body of the fetus. So IgG means Ig represents immunoglobulin G, antibody G. So the next one is vaccination and immunization. What do you mean by vaccination? What does the vaccine contains? The vaccine contains the inactivated or the weakened pathogen or just the protein of the antigen. And this inactivated or the weakened pathogen, it is introduced inside the body. So when they are introduced in the body, what happens to our body? Antibodies are produced in our body against this antigen. So the next time when the body encounters the actual pathogen, when the actual infection starts, our body will be already ready with those antibodies which are produced inside our body. So that is called as vaccination. The vaccine helps to generate the memory cells. So the memory cells such as B cells and T cells are already produced in our body with the help of vaccination. For vaccinations, example is polio vaccine, hepatitis B vaccine. The next one is the passive immunization. In case of passive immunization, the direct injection of the preformed antibodies or an antitoxin is given. So directly the antibody is injected inside our body. For example, the case of snake bite. So when a snake bites a person, the antibodies or an antitoxin is injected directly inside the body of a person. And another example is during the tetanus infection. So tetanus is a bacterial infection. At that point of time, the tetanus injection is given. What does the injection contain? It contains the antitoxin or the antibodies. So when it is injected inside our body directly, this is called as passive immunization. So how are the vaccines produced? Vaccines are produced by using the DNA recombinant technology. Because since vaccines have to be produced in a very bulk amount, vaccines are produced with the help of recombinant DNA technology. So what happens in the DNA recombinant technology is they are joining the DNA from a different organism and they are introducing it in the body of a host, wherein it multiplies and then they extract like this. So in this way, the hepatitis B vaccine is produced from the yeast. Next one is the allergy. So what is allergy? Allergy is an exaggerated response of an immune system to certain antigen present in the environment. Exaggerated response means our body starts to respond in a very different way, probably in a way of sneezing continuously or watery eyes or runny nose. So this is called as an exaggerated response. Our body starts to respond very differently when the body is exposed to certain type of antigen which is present in the environment. So what are allergens? Allergens are the substances which causes allergy. The substance which causes the allergy, it can be the pollen grain or even it can be fur or a hair of the animal. So what are the antibodies which are produced during the allergy? The antibodies which are produced when a person is exposed to the allergic infection is IgE. So IgE is an antibody which is produced, and the chemical which is released during the process of allergy is histamine and serotonin. Histamine and serotonin are the chemicals which are released from the mast cells. What are mast cells? Mast cells are the WBCs which are present in a connective tissue. It can be present in the under the skin, etc. Next, what are the symptoms of the allergy? The symptoms of the allergy are sneezing, watery eyes, running nose, difficulty in breathing, skin rashes. So how do you identify that a person is allergic? So you need to expose that particular allergen in a very minute dose to that particular individual to identify which is the what is the reason for the cause of an allergy. It is also, allergy is also because of this modern lifestyle which have been adapted, as a result of which the immunity level is very low. Asthma is one of the respiratory disease which is caused because of allergy. And the use of this antihistamine and adrenaline and steroid, this helps to reduce the allergic infections. Autoimmunity. Autoimmunity is a condition in which the body attacks the self cells due to the genetic and other unknown reasons. Sometimes our body will not be able to identify its own cells and start attacking our own body cells, and this results in autoimmunity. So therefore autoimmunity means destructions of the self cells. Example is rheumatoid arthritis. Rheumatoid arthritis is a condition in which there is an inflammation in the joints, especially in the hand and in the wrist region. So the joints starts to swell, there is an inflammation, there is a slight swelling of the hand and the wrist region. So that is called as rheumatoid arthritis. The next one is an immune system. So what is immune system? Immune system is a system which gives immunity to the body by recognizing, responding and remembering the foreign antigens. So our body can recognize, it can respond and it can remember the foreign antigen which is attacking our body. So this protection which is giving to our body is called as immune system. What does the human immune system consist of? The human immune system consists of lymphoid organs. It contains tissues, soluble molecules like antibodies. So all these are present in the human immune system. The human immune system also play a very important role during the allergic reactions, during the autoimmune disease and during the organ transplantation. Now, what are lymphoid organs? Lymphoid organs is the organ where the origin and or the maturation and the proliferation of the lymphocytes occur. So, lymphoid organ, let me give an example of bone marrow and the thymus. So, the lymphoid organ is an organ where the origin, that is the origin of this particular cell, the maturation of the lymphocyte and the proliferation. Proliferation means to say multiplication. Multiplication of the lymphocyte occur. So what is a lymphocyte? Lymphocytes are the WBC cells, the T cells, the B cells. So T cell, T lymphocyte and B lymphocyte. So these cells, the origin, the maturation and the multiplication of these cells occurred in the lymphoid organs. So there are two types of lymphoid organ. The first one is the primary lymphoid organ and the second one is the secondary lymphoid organ. So let's discuss about the primary lymphoid organ. What is primary lymphoid organ? Primary lymphoid organ is an organ where the immature lymphocytes, they differentiate and they become into antigen sensitive lymphocyte. So the immature lymphocyte, which is still the naive lymphocytes, they differentiate, they proliferate, they multiply and they develop into an antigen sensitive lymphocyte. So they become very sensitive to the antigen. So example for the primary lymphoid organ is the bone marrow and the thymus. So now let's discuss about the bone marrow. What is the bone marrow? Bone marrow, it is a site for the formation of RBC cells and WBC cells. So T cells and B cells are formed in the bone marrow. So the origin of the T cells and the B cells, it takes place in the bone marrow. But here there is one difference. The maturation of the T cells, it takes place in the thymus. Though the origin of the T cells take place in the B cells, for the maturation purpose, the T cell has to travel to the thymus where the maturation of the T cells happens in the thymus. So what is thymus? Thymus is an gland which is present in between the chest, in between the lungs. So in the chest region it is found. So thymus is large during the birth, but it gradually shrinks and decreases in size when the person reaches the puberty. And both this thymus and the bone marrow, it provides the microenvironment for the development and the maturation of the T lymphocytes. Secondary lymphoid organs. Secondary lymphoid organs are those organs which provides the site for interaction of the lymphocytes with the antigen. So here the lymphocytes are able to interact with the antigen, as a result of which they proliferate or they multiply to produce a new cell which is called as effector cell. So the lymphocytes, they convert themselves into a new cell that is called as effector cells when they encounter the antigen, and this happens in the secondary lymphoid organ. So what are the examples for the secondary lymphoid organ? The examples are spleen, lymph nodes, tonsils, Peyer's patch, MALT. MALT means mucosal associated lymphoid tissue, and appendix. So let's discuss what is spleen. Spleen is a bean-shaped organ. It contains the phagocytes and lymphocytes. It removes the worn out RBC. That means to say it removes all the RBC which is dead and the pathogen which is present in the blood. It is also the reservoir of erythrocyte. So it is also known for storing the RBC. So the next one is the lymph node. Lymph node is also an secondary lymphoid organ. This lymph node is found in the lymphatic system, and they trap the microorganisms and the other antigens, and they activate the lymphocytes which is present there, and it causes the immune response. The third one is the MALT. MALT means mucosal associated lymphoid tissue. This mucosal associated lymphoid tissue is present in the lining of the respiratory, digestive and the urogenital tract, and around 50% of the lymphoid tissue is the MALT. This lymphoid tissue, it covers the respiratory system and the digestive system and the urinogenital tract. The outer layer is made up of the MALT tissue. It covers the epidermal lining. Then the next secondary lymphoid organ which we discussed were tonsils. Tonsils are also the lymph nodes which are present in the back of our throat. It also contains the immune system. It is a part of immune system. The next one was the Peyer's patch. Peyer's patch is also a immune system which is present in the ileum part of the small intestine. So in the small intestine you have a part of it, you are calling it as ileum. So in the ileum, Peyer's patch is located. The next one is an appendix. Appendix is also an immune part of immune system. So appendix is located in an abdomen region where it has a good collection of the bacteria. So good bacteria are present in the appendix region. So it has got good bacteria which also helps in the digestion of the food. So these are the secondary lymphoid organ which is present in our body.